computer. It is a backwards screen share. That is wrong. Start screen share. Okay, it was showing my slides reversed. Okie dokie. And you can hear me. We are going on. Okay, start. We'll wait until we get. Okay, I want to make sure she's here. I don't know that I have Wendy's number separate in my phone. I hope she's able to come on. She did not email to tell me if she was not coming, so. Okay, let me put on some music. Music?
Slightly.
Just enough to be able to tell there's something here.
Okay.
We have 3 people on board. Okay. I was just getting ready to email some people. We are good. Okay, so welcome. This is Mary-Gail, and hopefully you can see me now. And I am going to put on chat. Are you able to chat yet? No. You can chat? Will you chat? I have one viewer here. Is Wendy in? I can't see that. Oh, Wendy, I know you're there. Good morning. How are you? We're only going to have the 3 of us this morning. Nancy is going to watch this later. She's got another obligation. So we are recording, and I have yet to figure out how to actually allow you to talk, but we can chat. I believe I'm on Q&A, which is not what I want. Am I? Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. This would be operator error. Looking for the chat window. I've got you. And I have group chat. I still don't see everybody. Is the conversation on here? Oh, come on. Can you still say something?
Yes. Yourself and myself.
Okay. I really want to be able to see this chat, though, because if there's a problem. Okay, it's showing me the chat window. Wendy, I'm talking to my tech dude. Oh my goodness. Hopefully this is entertaining. I don't know. I could tell some jokes, but I'm not good at jokes. I see it. Good morning. I do not see your conversation yet. And I don't see your. Hold on. Good morning. Can we check in via chat? I want to double Double check. I'm not seeing you guys. Okay, I'm on webinars on air. I click that. Okay, I'm afraid to click these buttons. Oh, relief. Yay. Okay, we are good to go. Okay, sweet. Looks like good to good. Okay, good morning. I know I did get some emails from all of you actually, and I wanted to check in and see if you have any questions or comments about what you wrote about the emails. I'm going to review. I'm going to go ahead and start screen share so we can start to review. Okay, I'm afraid it's not. Oh, I remember. We're working on it. Okay, I've got my screen up. I'm going to do screen share. And my other screen is not showing yet. What I'm doing, Wendy and Gerald, is I am pulling up my PDF. This will be working really well in just a couple minutes. I'm not sure why this is not. Hold on. Why is this not? Wendy, you know, it's really funny because I start to think I need Botox on these things, which is wrong. Okay. It's not there now. Okay, now it's back. I'm doing screen share and it's not showing. Okay, I'm gonna, whoa, desktop. Can you see that though? Because I didn't hit screen share. I was afraid to, because what it does is open the infinity windows. So just, yay! Here. Okay. Now we are going to officially start screen share. And during the PowerPoint, what I'd like to do is start doing some review. And I'm going to have to, I don't know if you're going to be able to. Okay. You're just seeing. Okay, I'm trying to see. I've got a second computer on here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. The blah is done. Okay, so this is about finding your ideal client. And this is pretty critical to actually getting your work out there. We've seen this. We're doing a little quick review of, really find it important to go ahead and review what we're doing, because what that does is it keeps us on track. Repetition of the basics is critical for mastery, and this is new to most of us. So I am going to go ahead and go over the outline for the course again, just on this slide, so don't worry. The first week, which was last week, what we did was we created a strategy and did an overview of the 4 P's of marketing. Those are product, placement, price, and promotion. And the product, as we discussed, is your artist statement. And at this point, some of us have full artist statements and some of us have specific words. The words can certainly be used as artist statements, especially if you place them on a page in a pleasing manner. If you're putting that on a website or sending it into a show, that can actually be kind of a sophisticated way to do it, as long as you include yourself, the who, the what, and the why. Who you are. My name is Mary-Gail King. What do you produce? I produce contemporary impressionistic oil paintings. And why do you do it? Personally, I do it because I want to express my emotional connection to my subject matter using color and gesture. Placement is what we're doing today, and that's where we can find our ideal customer. You can see 3 and 4 there. We'll cover in the next couple of weeks. In the art world, going back to number 1, we want to continue to focus on, we market our product, both our art and ourselves. And it's easy to underestimate how important we and our persona are to our art, because over time, our collectors will start to look at, if they've bought individual paintings, they've bought them because they love them. When you're working your way into more high-end pieces of art and into galleries or with serious collectors, you really need to have a track record. So that track record is part of it. Some of these slides that I'm showing you are part of the, I've reviewed these in the notebook, the workbook that I sent you. So I hope you've had a chance to look at that. The marketing matrix, it's really about the who. This is a couple that I did a commission for, and they wanted a representational painting of a scene in the wine country. They had a vineyard that they were getting ready to sell and had a very close emotional attachment to it. So what they did was they wanted me to go out and paint a picture of their vineyard. So I, went through the process of going through the commission, and it took a while, and it was quite interesting. I'll go to this slide, because I kind of was over the representational painting, and in exploring what I was doing for them, I ended up coming up with this painting, and they did not like it. They wanted representational work, and they kind of freaked out when they saw this. But they had enough faith in me and what I had done in the past. I had gotten references, and they knew other people who had worked with me on commissions. Because of that strong relationship that I'd built with them, they were very nervous about going from this to this. But I was bored with the representational watercolor, which, if you're painting something for a commission, you do what people want. You don't make up your own thing. So I was very fortunate to have that close relationship with these people. And I do have a way of working with commissions that I may go over later, but they were very comfortable with my ability to meet their needs. They just freaked out when they saw that I didn't do what I had promised I would do. So I went back, I dealt with that, and ended up with this painting. I'm going to go back to the more abstract piece. This piece kind of languished in the back of my studio for a little while, and I ended up naming this one Alsoran, A-L-S-O-R-A-N. And I let the second group, the second couple who ended up purchasing this, I ended up letting them name it. And the backstory for that was fascinating. A second couple came in during an open studio session, and I had this painting taped to the door that I had created it on. These are part of a series I call my door series. And so I had this paper taped to it, and I had this all done and put away in the back room. One little hint, when you've set up your open studio, I have discovered that people love your back room. And the messier something is, if everything's all neat and tidy, they want to see what's messy, and they want to see into your flat. They want to see the inside of your flat files. And it's so consistent that I actually make sure that I have some things accessible in private back rooms for people to come and see. So anyway, they found this in the back room, fell in love with it. It was a couple where the woman was an accountant and the man was a rocket scientist working at Vandenberg, an engineer who works on rockets. And the woman is actually on the board of directors for our county museum. So I was very flattered that they liked the piece. Turns out when I told them the story of why I painted this one, basically said, I was a little over this one. I had the small mock-up that was a half sheet watercolor. This is an elephant-sized watercolor painting. Anyway, I told them the story behind it. The second couple actually knew the first couple. They ended up speaking to each other. They thought it was hilarious. This first couple ended up hanging the painting in their room. The second couple, the woman ended up framing it and hanging it in her office, behind the desk in her CPA type office. So that was kind of funny. I ended up, getting lucky on that one. The other point of this is that I did paint what I wanted to. I should not have done it on someone else's time. I did build up a relationship. So that was fortunate. Another thing that is important to think about is where will you find your collectors? This particular collector is a fellow painter. Behind her to the right, turned around, is another fellow painter. And one of my coaching clients, Nancy, here in this picture, is she's collected some paintings. And I did in this one, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit of my story behind this. Did this one, this particular show was in a winery that's in the neighborhood where my studio is. And I was able to be connected. And again, these connections that you get with people are incredibly close, incredibly important. The executive director of the nonprofit where I rent my space had met the new owner of this winery, and she had hung some paintings in the winery. The new owner wanted to pull in some new paintings for their grand opening. Karen came to me and asked me if I was willing to do it. I said, I don't have enough paintings to fill a winery. And she said, well, I think you do. She went through my studio and picked and chose certain things she thought would work. And I ended up hanging them. Don't have a picture of that at this point. But what I did with the 4 paintings that I hung in this winery was I took a picture of the wall and I put it on Facebook. And it was easily the post that I had gotten the most likes for ever. I hit like 108 likes within less than 24 hours. And people were wondering when I would have the opening of the show. So I'm going, let me get back to you, etc. So I ended up taking the 4 paintings into turning it into a show and got 60 people there. The way I did that was when I went into the owner of the winery, I'm not about, can I hang things on the wall? I'm not about filling space. I am about partnering with the gallerist or the owner of a location where I am showing my work. And what I spoke to this owner of the vineyard about was, I really want to partner with you. And it sounds like I have a lot of people that are interested in coming to a show. What do you think we can do? And my suggestion was to have a reception. And having done receptions before, I kind of talked her through what that would entail. Basically, it's a big party. I negotiated with her on refreshments. She provided hors d'oeuvres and I paid for the wine. It cost about $200 for the wine, and I ended up getting $2,000 in sales. I was very happy with that. And so was she. She ended up with customers who came back repeatedly as well. So the point of that is that I created a partnership. I asked her what I could do for her besides just hang paintings on the wall. And I brought the proposal to her of how to bring more people in. Again, going back to those personal connections. Now I want to go through and ask a couple of questions. We're going to go through and do the same thing we did last week. Here, I have a little bit of a shuffling of paper here because I want to go into the questions I created. What we're going to do is talk about, excuse me, this, hopefully you have your piece of paper and your notebook. Again, I sent you the email that asked you to do that. If you don't have it, I will give you a couple of seconds to pull that up. And I'm not going to ask you to check in on chat. I know you're big people and can do that. So what I want to do is I am going to go ahead and talk you through this. We've done the pattern of cycling through, resting and thinking, and coming back into answering questions. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and get your paper, have your pen close at hand, and just sit forward on your chair, plant your feet firmly on the ground, put your hands either on a table if you're at a table or on your, just ground yourself. And I'm going to take a moment to think about who do you know, what relationships do you have with people that that can help you with your art. And the first thing I want you to think about, what we're going to really hyper focus on right now, is thinking about who is your ideal client. I've touched on my personal people, couples for commissions, and individual artists for both the coaching clients and collectors. I have a number of other collectors. I would give you the demographics and psychographics of them, but that's what we're going to discover about your person. So go ahead and put that person, that one person, in your mind and do the grounding. Close your eyes. I will give you a few minutes of, actually 30 seconds or so, of thinking about that. I'm going to go ahead and prompt you a little bit while you're thinking with some of the questions that we're going to go over. Don't write. How much money does your ideal client make? Is it a man or a woman? How old is she? Has she collected art in the past? Has she collected original art? Where does she live? This starts to get important. What does she eat? Where does she drink? For example, is she a wine collector? Where does she shop? How long have you known him? Where did you meet? Were you introduced by someone? Who was that? Did you meet them in a group you're part of? Is price an issue? When he sees your art, what does he like? Please be very specific. Color, size, the frame. Where will he put his art? The more you know about this one person, the better your chances are of figuring out where to find another person or people like him or her. Okay, so go ahead and open your eyes. And I don't know if you have your workbook, but if you do, you can fill in the blanks. If you don't, just take that blank piece of paper. You can open your eyes. And do you want to write down, do you want me to go ahead and read through these? We'll read through this list again. How much money would you estimate your one collector makes? Do you have one collector in mind? Your mother, your father, your best friend, the person you've painted with forever? It can even just be someone, one of those people who's encouraged you to go ahead and become a professional. That person is just fine, but think of one. How much money does he or she make? Is it a man or a woman? How old is that one person? Has she collected art in the past? Has she collected original art? And where does she live? What does she eat? Where does she shop? How long have you known her? Where did you meet? Were you introduced by someone? Who? Is price an issue? My hint on this one would be price is never the issue. It's all about priorities. We'll deal with that in one of the next sessions, actually the next session. May take a second or two longer on this question. When he sees your art, what does he like? Be very specific. Remember color, size. Where is he going to put it? Frame. If they start thinking about where they're going to put it, you've got a hot one. A funny thing I heard a long time ago, this sounds horrible, but the worse the painting, the better the frame has to be. I used to be a little insulted by people talking about the frame, but as long as it's in good taste, don't worry about it. We can get into talking about that later too. Now, I would really like to be able to have a conversation about this at this point. I don't know if that's possible or not. Do either of you have a little bit of information about this person? I would really like to be able to figure out how to let you talk. Did we figure that out? You can't see the screen? You can't talk? You can't chat? Please.
If I talk, it picks up on your two items.
Okay. Okay, we're getting feedback. Okay, what I would like you to do now, either Gerald or Wendy, is go ahead and tell me a little bit about these answers. If you're not able to, I'll go ahead and jump in and tell you who my ideal person is. No, I may just go ahead and do that. Okay, so how much money, I'll tell you just a second who my best client is. It's a gentleman who came to my studio and I was very excited because he bought a $5,000 painting. I will tell you that the original price was not the issue. It was $7,200. I did negotiate. And he did not want to talk about the money. When he came to my studio, that had nothing to do with it. And he very deliberately steered me away from it. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you my estimate of how much money he makes. He's probably doing a draw of, I'm not seeing my 200. Is this showing up? No. 200, probably 250,000 American dollars. And my guess, and that's probably conservative, my guess would be, I know he's got to have more than $1 million. My guess would be closer to 5. Oops, 5 probably net worth. And again, these are probably conservative, very well educated, as in he was president of multiple universities, which is awesome. It is a man. He is, my estimate would be 75. He has collected significant art collection. Some of it is historic art. Those are what I would call less important pieces, but they're small pieces by regional people from the Northeast, which is where he's from originally. He still has a home, I believe it's in Rhode Island, so he has multiple homes, which is, and we'll talk later about how to find these people, but first of all, you need to know who they are. So, this gentleman has multiple homes, East and West Coast. He lives at the beach here. He's been in this home. He raised his children here in Ventura County. I think he's probably owned this home for at least, he may own it, I'm going to say 30 years. An original home. So it's a beautiful place, but simple. He lives simply. He spends his money on art, experiences, and his children. His children are collectors. What does he eat? He eats healthy food, is probably his biggest priority. I know he's big on exercise, that kind of thing. He is fairly fit, but my guess would be he spends more time in the arts. Art BOD member, and actually he's primarily connected with the music. And his is specifically, there's a music festival in Ojai, which is, I'm writing as I speak so you can get this. A music festival in Ojai he's helped put on for a long time. So a couple of threads that I'll just point out here between him and some of these other people I've mentioned. They are all healthy, outdoorsy people. They are art collectors from the past, except for the commission people, and I consider myself an educator with them. Definitely wine people. Peter, not so much the food as in gourmet type food, but likes wine. And he has a significant other. They live separately. It is a woman. Is a woman, lives separately. I'm trying to think of, so part of the reason that would be important is that his home is filled floor to ceiling with original art, and the relationship with this particular woman is fairly new, and she is also an art collector, and kind of blending those collections is very interesting to watch them do. She collects Eastern art from the Far East, particularly three-dimensional things like Buddhas. Spiritual. Okay, let me see. How long have I known him? I have known Peter 5 years. I met him through my art center. Oh, yay. Okay, so I've got some of you pulling in. Wendy, go ahead and, I know you're probably thinking and writing now, I hope, about your own things. Certainly don't just listen to me. This is about you. I just want to help. Okay, where did you meet? Were you met at the art center? I was introduced basically by other artists that knew him, and board of directors, business people. You're probably noticing a pattern of I'm being introduced to people who are fairly in the realm of all art collecting, kind of mid-range art collectors. These are regional, these are important regional collectors. They very much focus on collecting original art from established artists. It has not always been that way for me. The way I got into that was by starting at the most basic level. And I'll talk a little bit about how I managed to establish myself as a more regional collector, probably in another session, because I think that's going to be too much for this one. But backing up, affiliations and proving myself through consistent work. I have shown and created various bodies of work. I was first known for my original representational watercolors, primarily outdoor related plein air type work, and florals. So that's where I started. I started to get more into these serious collectors when I started to go more abstract. I consistently showed a serious level of growth through that. And the other thing that was interesting, Peter would not have spent that kind of money on me had he not seen me work over the course of the last 5 years and stick with it and improve. Met through a group. Is price an issue? No. Price is not an issue. Negotiating and being fair and competitive. And when we get into price, I'll talk a little bit about how I've managed to make my prices very, very solid, and I'm working my way up in those prices. I have some goals with those. And I have, again, you get what I'm calling bread and butter pieces, and we'll talk about that in the next session on price. I have several matrices that will help you kind of look at that yourself. When he sees your art, when your collector sees your art, what does he like? The thing that impressionistic style, significant understanding of color and color theory. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gerald. Wendy, please feel free to go ahead and type in. I want to make sure that you're an active part of this. Okay. My tech guy's making sure that we know you're there, so because I'm very dedicated to making sure you get this. Okay, I don't know where that is. Can I see? Okay, Wendy, I'm going to look at another screen so I can see what you're typing. I'm starting to look like a very poorly equipped tech room. Okay, so, oh, awesome. Yeah, because I want to see, do I need to scroll up to see more of hers? They're more up higher? Okay. Just one? Okay. Again, Wendy, I know Gerald's more because I know him pretty well. I can't scroll up. Okay, let me. My tech guy uses, God bless him, I don't even know what these are called when they're not. I don't know what they're called when they're not Apple, but he uses, is it Windows? I don't know what this thing is. So I don't understand how it works completely, which is sad. Okay. Oh, it's very hypersensitive. You need to maybe come around here for helping me. I'm not on screen, so it's okay. Yeah, go ahead and scroll down for me. Wendy, I'm looking for you. Okay, I see Gerald. Oh, perfect. Go ahead and scroll up. Okay, I see you, Wendy. I'm going to read it. Okay, your ideal person is a woman. You're estimating $80,000 to $100,000 a year. Very solid. That's awesome. Means she's got some disposable income. Probably lives pretty comfortably, which is perfect. Excuse me. It's a woman, 52, lives in the city. Obviously, you know this. I'm going to read it out loud, though, for everyone. Eats very healthy, very fit, writes books. I'd love to know what kind of books she writes. If you go ahead and type that in, that's insightful. Writes books. You have known her for 10 years, met through a friend. I'd also like to know maybe how the connection with that friend, like what, is that an old school friend? Is that someone you've hiked with? That kind of thing. Excuse me. She purchased a large painting in her living room. Okay, very cool. I would like to know which piece, and I'm sure you probably don't have time to pull that up on your screen right now. Go ahead and send me a picture of that in a follow-up email, because I'd like, I'm going to review your emails and see what I can do to help you out with those too. So you met her through a friend, because I know that large tree painting you did was awesome. I don't know if that's the one she bought, but just for the rest of you, she did a painting that was 7 feet tall. I don't remember how wide, but very long, narrow format that went with a beautiful monumental type tree that I'm sure has a very, very beautiful impact to a room. She picked a nature scene. Price didn't seem to be an issue, which is good to know. If you don't mind sharing the price point of your painting, if you do, don't worry about it. I will, for your homework next week, want you to, if you have any kind, I don't need to see your whole inventory, but if you have any representative inventory for next week, I'm going to want you to figure out, what your range of prices is and how many paintings of each size you sell on a regular basis. And I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself again, but I want to plant the seeds of this homework so we're successful next week. So I'm going to want to know for next week. Okay. Oh, sweet. I see you coming in on my screen now. She worked with my friend from tech school. The painting was a large tree. Okay, it was the 7 by 2 foot tree. She paid $1,800 for it. That is a great price. I like it because you're getting, how did you feel about that? Did you feel like that was a fair price for you? Because I think that's really important. To me, it's kind of like partnering with someplace where you're showing. To me, the way the balance of price comes in the end, it becomes intuitive because we create a range of prices that will be affected by the work. It's not just size. It sounds like if price wasn't an issue, this was solid. So that was a comfortable point. Did you feel good about that price? Was it fair? And that little tension between she was happy with it and it was focused on the work, and you were happy with it and you were also focused on the work. Okay. She picked the price. You know what? That is actually really good. I like that. My question would be, especially for someone that sounds like she's got integrity, no, that's great. Did you feel good about it? And again, you can write these in an email, and if I'd like to go ahead and offer you another, quick chat, and we can keep it a little shorter than last time if you'd like to do that, because this sounds like something that would be good to discuss. You thought it was fair. You're not sure if she loved it. You're not sure if she loved the painting. Did she see it ahead of time, or did you do it as a commission? I'm not sure. I don't want to pause too long and leave dead space. I'm going to go up to Gerald while I wait for you to write that a little bit. Okay. Gerald, your ideal collector. And Wendy, please ignore me if that's helpful. And also feel free to type in, because I know you guys are thinking while I'm talking. Gerald, your ideal collector is actually two different people. Okay, of course, you're not following directions, but we're going to just not worry about that. One male and one female. Both are reasonably well off, not what I could call wealthy. So you're not quite sure what to estimate. Probably 150. 150 is pretty darn good. That's very solid. They're not millionaires like Peter, but that's okay. Anything over 75 is somebody that has disposable income very comfortably. And it's a matter of priorities. So your ideal collectors, they were both connected by shared common friendships. They are well educated and have a high level of cultural interest. Both are very socially committed. Those things actually tie really closely to Gerald's body of work, obviously. I'm assuming this is from the Golden Paladin, Gerald. Is that accurate? Okay, I'm waiting. Price is not an issue. I'm going to scroll up. Okay. I'm not fair. Okay, it's saying I have 3 attendees. I want to make sure I've got you guys. Okay. Wendy, I keep worrying about you. I want to make sure I don't lose you. If for some reason I'm chatting too much, please tell me. We're getting to 10 till, we're at the 12 minutes till 11 point. I think we may be able to finish right at 11. The technical issues are the biggest reason I've gone to the 15 minutes over. This will be great. Better efficiency. Okay. So I'm seeing a little more about Gerald. Your 2 ideal clients, 1 paid full asking. Okay. I'm going to finish with Gerald's. I'm glad you're still working, Wendy. Keep thinking. If you let your fingers fly while I'm talking. With your 2 ideal clients, Gerald, 1 paid full asking price, 1 negotiated sum, which was fine because it was a stretch for her at the time. Gerald, were these in a gallery or were these individual? Or were these face-to-face? Yeah. Okay, so Wendy, while Gerald types that, I'm going to look at yours. She didn't really see it until it was complete, just a picture and when it was partly done. Okay, oh, this is classic. She was tired. That it's tough to work with what sounds like almost a commission. Wendy, will it be helpful at some point, I'm going to write this down, to work on Structure for commission. I'm going to write that down as a future topic. I am going to do this again starting again on March 4th. I'm going to do another, I think I'm going to start a new session that's like this one that will be improved, but I definitely want to keep going with you guys, even though it's a small group. This is obviously product development as far as I'm concerned with giving this information to you. You're being very patient. Because of that in particular, I want to make sure that I keep the price right now at the $49 versus the $99 I'm going to be starting to charge for other people. So again, seeds of the future. I do like the idea of working on structure for commissions. She didn't see it was complete. So how did Wendy, how did she get excited about this? It sounds like at the beginning, she must have been enthusiastic. She was willing to pay $1,800. She did get it. Yeah, this relationship building ends up being the critical part of this. And I am sure you did a wonderful job. Wonderful job. This is an amazing sale, especially as an entry level. You're an emerging artist. That's fantastic. Most people don't touch that kind of price for a long time. Absolutely. Wendy, it's better to sell what I've already painted. Yes, commissions are very difficult. They require a lot of time, and depending on what happens is if you have a body of work that is well established and you are willing and able to do something directly related to that, that's important. What I have found is I will turn down commissions if, probably the first thing would be if the people seem difficult to work with, and that usually is related to what kind of a relationship I start out with. You can hear that I get a pretty good amount of foot traffic in my studio. Your students loved it. Sweet. Okay. So I know this is chatting around a bit, but again, acknowledging. I get enough foot traffic that I'm getting a lot of people in the door, and I have a good amount of work. What I tell people is the first qualification of being able to do a commission is that they like my work, because I am not going to be able or willing to just copy like a magazine picture. I need to maintain my personal style. And part of that is because I'm fairly well established and I'm committed to retaining value for my current collectors. I consider that, and I talk to people about that, and they're surprised, but again, I'm protecting my relationship. When I have an established price, which takes a little while to get sometimes, when I have that established price, I protect it. I am willing to negotiate to a small level. It's usually 10%. And that depends on the venue a lot of times, and people understand that. I don't cut my prices like 50% because I'm selling on my own, primarily because I have overhead. And when I am selling a painting myself, I'm paying myself what a gallerist would take. A gallerist brings significant value to selling work. They are worth what they charge for the most part. But anyway, again, another topic. So Wendy, was this the first painting that you sold? And tell me a little bit more about the context. Like, how did you get started? Is this were these fellow students and that sale kind of the beginning of your considering this as a real thing? And while you consider that, 2 paintings were from my Energy and Joyful Living series, and one was from the Human Spirit series. They were sold in a gallery reception event. I'm assuming that's at California Lutheran University, or no? Was it your gallery? Okay, we're still working. I'm going to go ahead and keep going here. I'm actually, at this point, to a large extent, going from the workbook. And let me go ahead and, I didn't go ahead to this screen. The workbook has these same questions, just so you know. And I will flesh out some of the other segments of the workbook as we get into more of the pricing and other categories. What do we have left? We have product, person, or product, placement, price, and promotion. So the next two we'll have is our price and promotion. I will flesh those out. Okay. Now this is an interesting thing. I love getting to know you guys. This is really fun, and I can see what we have in common is that spiritual base, healthy, fitness-oriented lifestyle, dedicated passion for our artwork, and commitment to learning more about how to do that. I am passionate about sharing what I know sales and marketing wise, and I'm thrilled to give back to you guys. Okay, two different galleries. Thrilled to give back to you guys, so that's kind of fun. My guess is, and this is something to really, really think about with this ideal client, you'll notice I've capped exactly the kind of person you're looking for. You know who that is. You've described that one person. You can extrapolate from that. I would suggest kind of mind mapping some of that. I haven't shown you how to do mind mapping, and I'm not sure you are familiar with it, but it's a very nice visual way to do brainstorming that will help you continue to target these people. Biggest thing is to be authentic. Biggest thing. Back to, and again, I'm looking at my outline here. Oh my. Back to, I don't have a picture of it. Okay. Being authentic, I want you to make sure that you are yourself. This is what I wanted to go back to. It's going to take just a second. This is very interesting, and this gets into some of what you were speaking to. Okay, Wendy, I see you. I see you. Yay. You get a lot of support from my friends. Oh, a show in a friend's house. That's awesome. Very, very good. And one original sold at a silent auction. That is awesome. So you, at this point, you asked a question in one of your emails a while back about whether I felt like or thought, whatever words you want to use, you were able to do this. And the more I know about you, the more I can confirm that yes. The reason I would say yes before this was because you had and have at least a small body of work, whether it's cohesive according to like the giant art world or not. You have a body of work, and you have some serious support. And I'm very, very happy to be part of that support. So please, consider me in this community we're building an extension of that. This is kind of a meta group, or a group that is above. This is a group that is looking at what your business is doing from the outside. I'm looking at the composition of what you're building, essentially. You're laying it out in a structure that will work for you as far as how you want to put this on the page of your career. I don't know if that's a good metaphor, but your friends are going to speak highly to, oh, yay. Doesn't that feel awesome? Okay, we're going to do a little, okay, time out. I'm going to go back to something that I really want to do because this is fun. I don't know if I'll be able to see it. Okay, we're going to go back to this because I'm talking too much and you can't see me in spite of the Botox thing, which is ridiculous once again. That's, it's all about the content and the connection. Content, connection, the work and me, the work and you. That's what it's about. Presentation becomes more sophisticated and polished over time. Again, this is a metaphor, or looking at from the outside in of what you're doing. So that's important. I'm going to go to these. I think this is the last page of what I've got here. More homework. I want to make sure I have mentioned homework as we go through this. And I am going to stick to the workbook. Thank goodness I've got something organized. Because if I've mentioned different things that you might want to do over the course of this presentation, I hope you took notes. I will send you a link to this. This is a private link because some of this information is private. And I did use the first name of one of my collectors, and that's personal information. And I don't like to tell people who my collectors are. And, if my collectors know that I'm thinking this way, that's fine, but kind of not. So I'd like to keep this kind of to this paid personal group, particularly since we're such a small group. I am sending out the links to this to Nancy Crawford, and I'm also sending links to this particular thing, just so you know, to Nancy and to Gerald and to you, Wendy, and also a woman named Megan McTavish, who's one of my first marketing clients. I have worked with her one-on-one for years and asked her to come on board with this to help with some critique of the program content. I know the presentation's really rough. Okay, back to my last page and homework. Refer to your workbook. Unfortunately, I did not put page numbers on it. I think that needs to be changed. There's a page where you'll start to see, again, I don't know if you've got it printed out, but you'll start to see tables, like tons of places to write down name, email, etc. for your potential customers. I'm going to go ahead and read. Most of your customers are probably people you already have as clients or collectors. Sounds like, Gerald, you've got relationships with galleries, that Wendy, you have very good relationship with friends. I would figure out other places, when you make this list that I'm going to talk to you about. Target at one place where you would like to do a show in the next 6 months. And a really important rule about these potential customers in sales: if you call on 10 people, you need to call on 8 to 10 people before someone says yes. So when you generate, what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to ask you to generate a list of 100 names. When you generate this list of 100 names, I would estimate that you will be doing well to get 8 to 10 people to say yes, as far as getting them into what we're going to call your marketing funnel. Think of a V-shaped funnel, starting from the bottom and working its way up. So at the bottom will be your lowest price. I'm going to pretend that's the bottom of the funnel. Those lowest price points moving up to your highest price points. That'll probably be with your collectors that are buying the largest pieces that cost the most. You don't necessarily start at the bottom for that funnel. Again, we'll get into pricing, and the funnel is actually more advanced, so we'll talk about that later. But I like pushing people to the back end of the funnel, which means that highest price point painting that's of the highest quality. The one behind me is one that's at a very high price point. And I have set it at that price point not because I don't want to sell it. I've put it at $26,000. It is 30 by 40, I believe. And I would have to sit down and crunch the numbers again to figure out how much that is per square inch. I am not selling that only by the size. That painting deserves to be sold at more, but for a lot more than that. I had a mentor that suggested knocking one painting at least out of the park as far as making that price a lot higher than some of my typical prices. Again, next week. This week, homework. Look at your list in your notebook. Go ahead and fill out all of the blanks that are in the beginning of the notebook up until the page where you get to the tables where I ask for name, email, mailing address, and phone number. If you only have the name and the email, that's fine. That's the best place to start. As far as mailing address and phone number, you want that for the people that have purchased paintings, particularly your high-end paintings. And you want to, in order to build those relationships, we'll get into more specifics about that later also. Building those relationships requires contact and communication. So it requires shows, but it also requires email in particular. That email newsletter is going to be your strongest tool to stay in front of people. And with your better collectors, send thank you notes. Even a year later, just send thank you notes. Dear XYZ, I wanted to thank you so much. You may touch on, don't say you're sorry, but touch on, I so appreciate your purchasing the art. I wanted to check in with you and let you know what's going on. And just write a short, friendly note that relates to that. How many paintings do you need to have done before I can mark it? 10 to 20. If you don't have that many, just go for it. It looked like, I would have to go back to your email. You sent me maybe 5 paintings, Wendy. Plus, I will say that if you set up a show, you are going to produce, period. Because you will have the deadline and the pressure of doing that show. Because of that, make sure that you're going to need to figure out how long it takes you to paint a painting. You want to figure out what your bread and butter painting is. We'll identify that in the next week. You're going to figure out, by bread and butter, I mean what painting size and price point do you sell the most? If your size and price point is that large piece, rock on. That's awesome. And paint that. I would recommend some other things that we can talk about as far as getting ready for a show. Again, that's a little more advanced, so I think that's a good topic for the next session that we'll do. So we'll talk about how to do commissions and how to set up a show and kind of walk through that process and building relationships. Email, personal letters, FaceTime with people, being in groups together, being around other artists, and painting very regularly. I cannot hear, my tech guy is trying to help me and I can't hear what he's doing. Okay, we're at 11:10. Wendy and Gerald, if you want to summarize this, I think that would be good. As far as connecting with people, and this is what Tech Guy was saying, connecting online through social media, very critical. And having at least a landing page with your artist statement and one painting where people can figure out how to email you, that minimum is what you need for a website. So starting to think about that. I use Weebly. I'm trying to think of who else. A lot of people, you're probably good at design, so WordPress is a good, Wix is another one. And I know that you, should I have a website first? What I recommend is that you just go for it. Don't get, figuring out your calendar, and this is because this is a lot of things to juggle. There are, as they say, a lot of moving parts. One of the things I'd like to do with you is figure out a timeline. This is something I'm pretty good at, helping break things down into small steps that will get you to the larger goal. I would say I would cross out the word first there. You should have a website, absolutely. By website, purchase your name, possibly add fine art, but purchase your name, www.wendybowman.com. Sorry, I'm getting notes again. Purchase your name. I use GoDaddy. Find that website. So I guess I'm saying yes. You want page 1 minimum. So first name of your website, get good photographs of all of your paintings. Make the list. This is a lot of stuff. Make the list of your top 10 supporters. Do not worry about a big mailing list. Mine is at about 150. I prefer having a really solid, good mailing list with people I have seen face to face that I have developed a relationship with before I worry about expanding into people I don't know. Otherwise, I get confused. I've tried to do too much too fast before. It's confusing and not worth it. So what I'm talking about building at this point is I'm talking with you about building that bait. So paint. You want 10 paintings. If you have 5 already, you need 5 more. Paint. I'm going to go back. Well, I'm not going to do screen share. Paint what you want to paint. Paint in series. I recommend putting up, I don't know, just set up tables with 3 to 5 paintings. I don't know how much room you have in your studio, but you can also do 1 painting at a time on your easel. Rotate 5 paintings at the same time. So paint, pictures, people. So that means you've got the paint, you've got the paintings, and you've got the pictures. So the hardest thing about being an artist, I find, is we are both production and marketing. Marketing can be just, I'm getting to the place where I find somebody to do that for me. Again, I personally like to do it this way. So we are at 11:14, and I would love to know if you have any other questions. your homework is to get a name, buy your name on GoDaddy. Don't worry about setting up the website. Generate the names of your top 10 potential or actual collectors. And I would say plus write down the names and information about the people that you've already sold to. So I want the names of those people. Fill out that list. If you can generate 100 names, do it. And we'll talk about how to get all of that plugged in as we go. Questions? I'm going to have to ask you to check in by chat because otherwise I can't tell. I don't want to hang up on you. Wendy, do you have questions? Gerald? Aren't we glad this is small? I will figure out how to allow you guys to speak. Been working a lot on content, so I haven't been working on presentation. I really wanted to get the workbook for you guys. I felt like that would help you have an anchor. So, feel like turning on music. Again, we're at 11:16, so I'm not going to stop the process. You're welcome, Gerald. My pleasure. Wendy, go ahead and send me an email that summarizes the various things I asked you to summarize. Please, please. Thank you. I'm so glad. Do email. Glad the workbook helps. I will send more this week that expands on the pricing matrix. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I will also send you, awesome. I will send you a link to this. Obviously, you can fast forward through a number of things, but this hopefully will be very helpful. Thank you. Bye.